Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, May 6th. It is National Nurses Day, and I just wanted to thank all the nurses out there, especially my sister is a nurse, my sister Corey. Happy National Nurses Day. To celebrate this day, I'm going to read from a book written by Rosemary. It's called Mary on Horseback. It is a collection of 3 different stories. I'm only going to read one of them. It is kind of long, but you're going to hear how things used to be a long time ago. And hopefully you'll feel thankful with how far we have come with medicine. So I'm going to read the introduction, and then I'm going to read one of the stories. There are maybe like 1 or 2 pictures in here, so I'm not going to be showing you the book like I normally do when I read, but if I do come to a picture, I will show you. Kentucky, 1923. In 1923, Americans drive cars, talk on the telephone, and use electric toasters. Planes fly overhead, and people dance to jazz on the radio. But in the Appalachian Mountains of Kentucky, the 20th century has not started. People live in tiny cabins without running water. They travel by mule while on winding tracks and secret mountain pathways. They eke out hard-scrabble livings by farming a little and hunting a little and moonshining, which is against the law. There are no radios. In the evening, fiddle music sings through the trees. The Kentucky mountains are rich with the devil's paintbrush and redbud. Before sunrise, the valleys fill with clouds. After dark, the hollows echo with a chorus of night creatures. But beyond the wild flowers and the sound of the fiddle music, there is much suffering. On a summer morning in 1923, a woman comes riding into these mountains. Her name is Mary Breckenridge. She is a nurse. She will spend months here, treating fevers and binding wounds wherever she can. She will listen to the people. They tell her their troubles in an old-fashioned English, much like the language their ancestors spoke in Scotland 200 years before. In her is a fiery will. She wants babies to be born healthy and their mothers to live long lives. She intends to build a hospital here and to stop the typhoid, diphtheria, smallpox, and scarlet fever with a brigade of nurses on horseback. She knows she needs more training to do this right, and she must have help, but she will be back soon. In the years to come, her frontier nursing service will save thousands of lives. And so I'm reading the story called Ireland of Scotland. And it starts out, here's one of the pictures. It starts out with a newspaper job offering. The Glasgow Times, April 7th, 1925. Attention, nurse graduates with a sense of adventure, your own horse, your own dog, and 1,000 miles of Kentucky mountains to serve. Join my nurses brigade and help save children's lives. Write to M. Breckenridge, Hayden, Kentucky, USA. I begin my letter to Kentucky for the 20th time. To M. Breckenridge, I am Margaret Ireland, registered nurse, 18.5 years old. I am on staff of St. Joseph Hospital in Glasgow, Scotland, and I wish to change my whole life because... And there my letter stops. I pencil in. 6 days a week, I put on a starched uniform and stand next to the ward surgeon with my hands at my side like a parlor maid. I must never ask why he or the sister superior order anything. That's called giving cheek, and I could lose my job. I scratch this out. Instead, I put, I love children. I am not afraid of hard work. I want to make my own path instead of slotting into the way everybody else does things here in Glasgow. Mom and Dad call up the stairway that we will be late for church. I seal the envelope, cover it with half-penny stamps, and post it before I can snatch it back. On June 24th, 1925, I am 4,000 miles from home at the last stop on the Louisville and Nashville Railroad. I quickly put on red lipstick to look as old as I can. M. Breckenridge is there to collect me. She has brought me a horse and riding pants. I am Mary Breckenridge, she says. Her eyes are star blue and smiling. This horse's name is Rick. He's yours. Ever been riding in the mountains? I've never set foot off the pavement of Glasgow, I answer. Mary grabs my left foot, locks it into the stirrup, and quickly shoves my bottom onto the back of the horse. Off we go. I am so scared of falling off of Rick that I sit pinned to the saddle like a bronze statue. A pine branch sticks out from nowhere. It smacks me off my horse. Mary has to dismount and help me back on again. Next time, duck, she says. The horses swim right through the river that roars by like Noah's flood. I can't swim any better than I can ride, so I close my eyes and pretend none of this is happening. This is Thousand Sticks Mountain, says Mary, when we can hear one another again. No one knows how many cabins are up here, but the children are dying of diphtheria, typhoid, scarlet fever, and smallpox. Right now, diphtheria is the worst. I look up between my horse's ears. I cannot see a single cabin or tell where one mountain begins and another ends. Mary goes on. Diphtheria vaccine is as expensive as liquid gold. We have just enough for sick children and their families, but we need to inoculate everyone. Your job is to count every man, woman, and child in these mountains. Count them? The state of Kentucky has promised us serum for everyone if we turn in a list of the families by September. Mary leans back in her saddle. I want to be ready to set up an inoculation clinic for the whole county on October 1st. Oh my goodness, what is happening? Of course, as you go, you must treat everyone who needs you. It's quite a job, Miss Ireland of Scotland. When I get off my horse at Wendover, I don't think I'll walk or sit for a week. Nurse Texas and Nurse Peacock introduced me to all the dogs and horses. Will you be coming out to the mountains with me? I ask them shyly. Oh no, they answer. Until we get more nurses, there's just Mary and us for the whole county. One of us must always be on call here. The other goes 20 miles down to Beech Fork. Mary's building an outpost clinic there. Over my first breakfast at Wendover, Mary says, Maggie, I'll take you up the mountain myself until you learn the ropes. After that, you're on your own. I follow her, flopping in my saddle like Raggedy Ann. Along every path, Mary points out wasp nests, certain stony river bends, and mossy tree stumps. Remember these, she says. It's how you find your way back. Mountain children watch us like owls as we pick our way up the paths to their cabin. Some have fleas and sores on their faces. Some wear shirts that are too small. We have begun to count families. I keep the list in my nurse's daybook. We knock on the door of every cabin we find. There is always a child who needs our help. The mothers watch Mary's every move as she treats infected eyes and burned fingers. They look right through me. One mother asks me, "How old do you be?" She brushes molasses into biscuit dough. I blush. 19, I answer smartly. I want to tell this woman to clean her kitchen table, to feed her children greens or they'll get scurvy, to brush their teeth. I bite hard on my thoughts and swallow them whole. Later I complain to Mary. They won't let me near them. Mary tells me, "You must never show annoyance with anybody, Maggie. They will think you are putting on airs." On my 8th morning at Wendover, a boy comes to the house and asks for Miss Breckenridge. His name is John Hawkins, and he's been sent by a sick child's mother far up beyond Devil's Gap. Mary has left in the middle of the night to attend the birth of a baby. Suddenly, it is time for me to go into the mountains on my own. I saddle Rick and follow John. How will I ever find my way back down? John shows me 12 trees on a mountain ridge. This is where we cross the stream, he says. After about 4 hours, John stops and points. This here's the fork to my home, he says to me. The other way is Devil's Gap. Keep on. You're bound to find a real shackly cabin with a mean-eyed goat and a she balsam tree in the front yard. Their name's Gibbs. I almost give up. Then I find the goat tied outside a half-collapsed cabin. Star Gibbs is 4 years old and has a fever of 105 degrees. Her mother has been up with her all night. Sure enough, it's milk poisoning, says Star's mother. It is diphtheria. She needs an injection, I say, or we will lose her. My man don't hold with needles, she says, so I'll turn my back. I give Star an ounce of our precious serum. 4 pairs of eyes watch me from the window. Then they disappear. The walls of the cabin are steeped in fever. Soon the whole family will be sick unless I inoculate them. I ask the children to come for their shots, but they scatter off. While her mother rests, Star lies in my lap. I wish I could give her ice cream, as I would in Glasgow, but here there are no refrigerators and no ice cream, so I tell her about them and name the flavors while her fever eases. Chocolate, vanilla, and pistachio. An older sister creeps onto the porch and listens. My name is Lavender, she tells me, and shows me her doll. It is a shred of rag glued to a stone head. A smile and 2 eyes are painted on the stone. At sunset, the children's father comes home. Their mother mixes old coffee with hot bacon grease and pours it over biscuits and fatback. We crowd around the fly-specked table in the cabin's single room. I sit facing a wall lined with stained newspaper. The father thanks God for his family and the fatback with red-eyed gravy. When I have finished eating, I sit as straight as I can. Excuse me, I say. After supper, you must let me give you the same medicine that Star had so that you don't get sick too. It's only a wee jab, and it won't hurt a bit. A dead silence greets the word jab. I beg the father to be first. He grins. Half his teeth are missing. Pretty young thing like you ain't sticking no needle in my tough old hide, he answers. Everyone laughs. I have lost again. The children sleep 5 to a bed. I lay down on a blanket on the floor. Someone kneels next to me in the darkness, staring. Tell again, Nursey, says Lavender. Tell over again about the ice creams. In the morning, Star is better, and I can leave. Her mother gives me a chicken gizzard sandwich for my saddlebag. Lavender is all bright-eyed and smiley, cheeks warm from the sun. She holds her stone doll up for a kiss goodbye. I keep the stream on my left and follow it down the mountain in the mist. Nothing looks familiar. While I search for the mossy stump by the 3rd beech tree, something ugly prickles my mind. I brush it away and think about finding a path to Wendover. It takes me the whole day. Over supper, I stare into the flame of the oil lamp. Tell me, says Mary. Tell me what happened. No one lets me near them with a needle, I say. I am a failure. I might as well go home to Scotland for all the use I am. No, Maggie, says Mary. You're still learning. October is a long way off. I tell Mary about Lavender's stone doll. In my mind's eye, Lavender says goodbye. Her eyes are so bright. Her cheeks are so sun-warm. At the table, I sit bolt upright. It had been a misty morning. Lavender's bright eyes were dilated with fever, not sun. Any nurse trainee could have seen that. I must go back up. My voice is shaking. She could be dead by morning. Mary sips her coffee. The light of the oil lamp swims in her eyes. If you were a failure, Maggie, You wouldn't hear that child calling you, she says softly. Rick does not like the night journey. In the moonlight, a possum crosses our path and spits at us. Rick balks. I gather up my reins and kick him on. I remember to keep the stream on my right. Against the dawn sky, I find the 12 trees on the mountain ridge. At 7, I find the cabin almost hidden in a patch of clouds. Lavender is lying white and still on her corncob mattress. Her mother wants me to give her the serum that saves Star's life. Her father wants me to give her whiskey and easing power as if I were a granny woman. I tell him no. He storms around the cabin. I wouldn't let the good Lord myself stick me with one of them pokers. Not for nothing nohow, he says. Suddenly, Lavender's mother stands up and shouts, You're a yellow-bellied coward, Enos Gibbs. Afraid to have needle of yourself, your own self. Look at this beautiful, educated young lady come all the way just for our Lavender. You think you can out-sharp her? Look at that gold nurse badge on her. You think they give those out to nobody? Lavender comes around slowly. We whisper the names of the ice creams, eating them in our minds. I tell her about telephones and the ocean between here and my home. That afternoon, I write in my nurse's daybook, July 3rd, 1925, 3 p.m., Gibbs family, diphtheria inoculation complete. So she did end up inoculating the whole family. Then I visit the next cabin, and the next all the way down the mountain. I count the last family by mid-September. The state of Kentucky sends us a wagon load of vaccine. On October 1st, 1925, the Beech Fork Outpost Clinic is completed. Our first day is spent inoculating all the children from a nearby one-room schoolhouse. Neither the children nor their teacher has ever seen an electric light bulb or heard a radio. Thanks to our modern 3-kilowatt generator, we have both. Mary and I string 5 electric bulbs over our work table. The radio picks up a signal from West Virginia. The sun vanishes and the autumn evening falls quickly. The children love the light bulbs and touch them shyly. They love the sound of the Betty Bumpus band. Sorry, there's somebody knocking at the door. Singing all the way from Charleston, but they freeze when they see the hypodermics on the table. Needles are surely the work of the devil, says their teacher. I am furious at the teacher, but I say nothing. Mary snaps off the lights and the radio and says to the teacher, The children will do as you do. Without these shots, you will lose half of them. Have you thought of that? Are you going to show your children cowardice or spunk? The children wiggle in their thin dresses and frayed trousers. The teacher hangs her head. She is no match for Mary Breckenridge, and she knows it. Have I got one brave boy or girl who'll volunteer to be first to be injected? Mary asks. No one answers. Come along now, who'll be first? I say. No answer. Then one little voice pipes up. It is Lavender. I had a shot this summer, she says, and my little sister Star, too. They don't hurt more than a pinprick. A flax-haired boy rolls up his sleeves. The rest line up, one behind the other. We snap the lights and the radio back on, and 100 years of darkness flees away. Into the mountain night floats the music of another world. A far-off orchestra plays, I once had a wonderful dream. The children sway and follow the melody's sweetness. When we are finished, I take Lavender into the clinic's brand new kitchen. There's a little white house with a door, she says. It's a refrigerator, I tell her. Open it up now. The freezer has only room for 1 Dixie cup. It is half chocolate, half vanilla. Lavender eats every bite of it as if it came straight from heaven. The radio plays, Make believe the moon is made of silver. I am making believe, says Lavender. And that is the end. Sorry it was so long. I have to go. Somebody's at the window. Have a good day, guys.